Hi guys and welcome back to my read along channel. We are reading Candyfloss by Jacqueline Wilson. This is our own work, just reading for entertainment and pleasure. Today we are reading chapter 20, which is on page 285, and of course it finishes on page 21, which is 297. So without further ado, let's get going. Chapter 20. Mum phoned on Sunday morning. She wanted to know so many worrying details about the cafe and what was happening. I didn't know what to say. I started telling her all about Susan instead, and wonderfully she got sidetracked for a while. Then she started telling me about this outing they'd had to a special fish restaurant on the waterfront. I bet the chips weren't as good as Dad's chips, I said. They didn't serve anything as common as chips there, Floss. This is an extremely upmarket place, said Mum. But talking of chips, there was an old man at the table who was the spitting image of that weird man who haunts your dad's cafe. You know, the one who had an awful chip fan. Your dad calls him Billy the Chip. It couldn't possibly have been him, not in an ultra-stylish restaurant at the other side of the world, and yet he was looking at me as if he recognised me too. Gosh, Mum, how strange. I said, look, I'd better go now. I'll be late for school. Floss, it's Sunday. What? Oh, yes. Well, my new friend Susan's coming around soon, so I must get ready. Love you. Bye, Mum, I gabbled, and then I slammed the phone down. Mum saw Billy, I said to Dad. Oh, God, he didn't tell her about the cafe closing, did he? Oh, Floss, I feel so bad putting you in this position. Maybe we should tell your mum the truth. But then she'd go spare. Dad put his head in his hands. She'll go double-eyed spare with knobs on when she gets back and finds out we've been camping at Billy's. If we're still here. Don't, Dad. We'll sort Mum out, I said quickly. Let's have a happy Sunday. Can we go for a drive in the van? Certainly, beloved daughter. We have a happy Sunday, said Dad. We drove round in the van for ages. Dad had made enough out of Billy's chip van to buy a full tank of petrol. We drove right out into the country and round every little town and village. We always slowed down going past any posters and big fields and parks and recreation grounds. We didn't once say the word fair to each other, but we both knew what we were looking for. We didn't have any luck. We came home feeling a bit frazzled. Of course it wasn't home. Still, Dad did his best. He'd bought a packet of crumpets and we'd stuck them on big forks and toasted them in front of Billy's old electric fire in the living room. Lucky and Whiskey and Soda came basking in the heat on the rug. Lucky lay in between Whiskey and Soda. They took turns nuzzling and petting her, trying to outdo each other as foster mums. Lucky smiled to herself, happy to be the centre of attention. All three cats eventually narrowed their eyes and lowered their heads and started napping. I was tired too, but I had to go off to the chip van with Dad. I washed my buttery crumpet hands carefully because I wanted to make some more clothes for Ellerina and Dimble. I filled a carrier bag with material scraps and some tissues and toothpicks and some cut-up socks for stuffing. I fancied making them proper Tudor outfits, complete with petticoats and pleated ruffs. I didn't have the first idea how to go about this, but I hoped inspiration would strike once I got cracking. Dad and I set off to the station. Dad manoeuvred the chip van out of the forecourt and got everything set up. The chip fryer was being particularly temperamental, overheating 1 minute and switching itself off the next. Dad fiddled and swore at it, despairing. How am I supposed to cook anything halfway decent on this ropey old contraption? He said. Oh, Flossie, Charlie's cafe was hardly the Ritz, but at least I could cook properly back home. Try as I managed the rubbish food here. For a long time it didn't look as if anyone wanted any food, rubbish or otherwise. We'd been busy on Saturday night and Dad had whistled as he fried, happy that he was keeping Billy's business going and making a bit of cash for us. But this Saturday we weren't making any cash at all, and Dad sighed and fidgeted and shook the surly fire. Then he came and squatted down beside me, his knees uncomfortably under his chin because he was so big and therefore was very little space. What's that you're doing, sweetheart? He asked, watching me gluing bits of white tissue to the toothpicks. I'm trying to make one of those sticky out hoop petticoat thingies to go under an Elizabethan gown for my woolly elephant, I said. Dad blinked. Ask a silly question, he said, reached out and ruffled my curls. You're a funny kid, Floss. Thank God you're so adaptable. I keep the blooming fryer bubbling for another half an hour or so, and then we might call it a day. The town's dead, obviously. Almost as soon as Dad had said that, a couple of fetched up at the van and started tapping their money on the counter for attention. Then another couple of little gang of girls, a rowdy mob of boys. So where have you guys all suddenly sprung from? Said Dad, heaving masses of chips into the fryer. There's been a green fair down by the river, said one of the girls. We've been listening to the bands. Oh, Dad, the fair, I said, leaping up. It won't be our fair, pet. Green fairs are different, said Dad. You cuddle down on your cushion and try to go to sleep. It looks like we're going to be a long and busy night after all. We're not going to go home till late. I tried to finish Ellerina's petticoat first, but it totally defeated me. I ended up with little pricks all over my fingers and bits of tissue stuck everywhere. I gave up and had a go at making those baggy knicker things that Elizabethan men wore, but it was difficult fashioning them to a saggy woolen doll, so I stopped trying. Maybe Susan would have to be chief dressmaker in our games. I curled up in a ball, closed my tired, itchy eyes, and tried to go to sleep, but it wasn't easy. It got noisier and noisier as more and more people came to the chip van on their way home from the fair. I started dreaming a silly dream about wandering the Hampton Court with Ellerina and Dimble dressed as Tudor courtiers. I'd somehow turned into one of Henry VIII's 6 wives, only he decided that he didn't like me anymore and started shouting at me. I ran away because I knew what happened to the wives who were out of favour. Then all of his soldiers started pursuing me, and they were all shouting too. I woke up with a start, still shaking. I told myself that it was only a dream, that I was safe in the chip van with Dad, but I could still hear the shouting. I heard Dad shouting too. I struggled up out of my corner. Dad, what's happening? Are you all right? Get back down, darling, it's okay. It's just some silly lads getting impatient. Pipe down, you guys. I'm flying as fast as I can. This isn't McDonald's. There's just me. You'll have to wait. Stupid idiots. Said this two guy who was waiting patiently, his arm around his girlfriend. Don't take any notice of that lot, mate. You're doing a grand job. I blinked, then rubbed my sleep out of my eyes. The tall guy was somehow familiar. He had a long fairish hair down to his shoulders, a black jeans and studded jacket, and a large silver biker jewellery on almost every finger. It's Sol, I said, bobbing up behind Dad. Get down, Floss, it's who? Sol. Sol saw me and grinned. Yeah, I'm Sol. How did you know my name? Is she your girlfriend, Sol? Said his girl, grinning. Sol rescued us at the fair, Dad. Our fair. He's Rose's son. Oh, great, said Dad. We're smashing to meet up with you again, Sol. Is the fair in our town again? No, I'm actually with the fair at the moment. I'm not actually with the fair at the moment. I've moved with Jenny here, said Sol, giving her a squeeze. Stop the chit-chat, Chipman, and get serving, some stupid guy yelled. His mates started chanting stuff too. Yobbos, said Dad contemptuously, taking no notice of them. Well, I bet your mum misses you, Sol. Yeah, she wasn't too pleased, but she's a tough lady, my ma. She'll cope. She's a lovely lady, said Dad, serving up a mega huge portion of chips to Sol and Jenny. Here you are, have these on the house. Thanks, mate. That's good of you. Fancy you working here in this chip van. It's just a temporary measure. Not quite sure what the future holds. Maybe I should go and see your mum and ask her to tell my fortune, said Dad. Here, Chipman, get serving us, you useless git, an ugly guy behind shouted. Keep your mouth buttoned, mate, until you learn some manners, said Sol. Yeah? So who's going to make me? I might, said Sol, clenching his ringed fingers so they were bunched in a threatening fist. Don't come the heavy with me, mate. Who do you think you are with your girly hair and your jewellery? You're asking to be sorted out good and proper. The ugly guy surged forward, all his gang following. Now cut it out, lads. Any trouble and I'm into that station phoning the police, said Dad. No one was listening. They were pushing and shoving, shouting and swearing. Then the ugly guy punched Sol in the chin. Sol whacked him one straight back with his ringed fist. The ugly guy staggered, bleeding. He fumbled for something. Then I saw a sudden, frightening gleam. He's got a knife, I screamed. Oh, God, said Dad. Watch out, Sol. Look, stay right here where it's safe, Floss. Out of sight, promise? Dad squeezed my shoulder and then went rushing out of the door on the back. Dad, come back. Please don't get hurt. I couldn't stay in my corner. I had to peer over the counter to see what was happening. There were people fighting everywhere. Some lads were kicking, some was headbutting. I couldn't even see Sol and the ugly guy now. And where was Dad? I prayed that he wouldn't get into a fight himself. What if he was hit or kicked? What if he was knifed? I eyed the door, wondering if I dared to go after him or to drag him back. but I promised Dad that I'd stay in the fan. It wasn't safe anymore, though. There were boys banging on it now, so that it rattled and shook. There were thumps and shoves. I cowered right up in the corner again, clutching Dimble and Ellerina. More fists, more boots. The fan juddered and rocked and tilted. Let's turn it right over, someone shouted. Dad, I yelled. They all kicked together and the fan lurched sideways. The chips sizzled furiously and the fat poured out over the fryer. Then suddenly there was an enormous whoop, and flames leaped high in the air. Dad, 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 I screamed. I scrabbled for something to throw on the flames, but it was too late. There was a roaring right up to the ceiling, terrifyingly orange. Wild, filthy smoke swelled all around the fan, making me cough. Dad, I croaked. The flames and fat were making such a noise that no one would ever hear me. I had to get out. I couldn't even see the door now. I was in a boiling, burning whirl of black smoke and orange flame. My eyes smarted and stung. I couldn't breathe. I pressed my woolly toys over my nose and my mouth and crouched down, crawling blindly across the floor. Dad! I cried one last time. Then the door burst open, making the fire roar and spread. There were arms fighting through the flames. 2 hands grabbed me and hauled. I was out of the fan, still screaming and sobbing, but safe in Dad's arms. And that is the end of chapter 20, guys. So we will be back on chapter 21, which is page 297. But until the next time, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you're enjoying the book, and goodbye.